tomorrow?
I'm on call at work too.
So if it's just registration.
Like shop at funeral.
That could be like pretty expensive that day. If he buys it for everybody.
Nobody really credit. We have live.
Okay, good evening, everybody, or good afternoon still, I guess. Sorry for the short delay, a few technical issues, but welcome to the special meeting regarding our 2025 budget. I'd like to just start off by acknowledging tonight we're gathered again on Treaty 5 territory, the ancestral lands of our neighbors, Opaskwayak Cree Nation, as well as many other Indigenous people, and as the homeland of the Manitoba Métis. With that, I will call the meeting to order. Just before I get there, Councillor Hopper sent his regrets tonight. All other councillors are in attendance. So somebody should have a resolution for the agenda.
Resolution number 2025-036, moved by myself, second by Councillor Allen, resolved that the agenda be amended.
So you have something to add to the agenda, Councillor Manage?
Yeah.
You don't have to read it all, just the title right now.
Oh, just the title?
Yeah.
I guess just resolution 2025-036.
Regarding transportation, I believe it is
Yeah, it's related to the handy van.
yeah, so relating to the handy van, so the
There
rural
has to be
transit,
a
sorry.
different resolution number. My resolution number is 036.
We'll fix it.
036.
That's
Yeah,
what
just
mine
change
is.
it.
That's what we
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, just,
They're both.
let's just, yeah, we'll just,
Okay.
so all we're doing is amending the agenda as presented to add in we have to do a resolution to deal with some transportation issue that has a tight timeline, and we're adding it into tonight's agenda. So if everybody's okay with that, can we get a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Everybody's in favor, nobody against, thank you. Let's get this out of the way right off the bat. We'll just do this resolution and just change the number on it. It just doesn't, yeah.
Resolution number 2025-037, moved by Councillor Manch, second by Councillor Commodore, resolved that council approves the submission of a grant application for Canada Public Transit Fund Rural Transit Solutions by the Paw Handy Van Corporation to purchase a new handy van.
So again, just to apply for a grant, it needs this resolution. Any other questions or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Alrighty, so just let everybody know the purpose of tonight's meeting is to really go through, get some more details with regards to our 2025 budget, and I thought that there would be others here, but so I just wrote a couple of notes that, you know, what we're doing here is not just looking at numbers on the page. We're really, what we're trying to do is make sure we're doing the right things at the right time to support our community. So right now we've got, if anybody follows what's happening in the world, it's a crazy world out there. I believe we have to do everything we can to sort of control our costs, and I don't mean by just not spending money, but control it in a way that we have as least impact on our community members when we're going through this, these sort of unknown or unaware what the future is going to bring. So, you know, and budgets are about the priorities that we have, and they must, you know, serve a purpose, whether it's providing essential services, infrastructure improvements, or creating opportunity of growth. So I will say though, I thank our staff. I know we put them through, people only see the couple hours of meetings, but there's a lot of work being done by all of our staff and by Laura to sort of try to get us to this one spot. And I know it's probably like rallying cats at sometimes that we're going in all different directions, but at the end of the day, I think council is aligned to make sure that, you know, we do the right things for today, but not just for today, that we do things for the future and we don't lose focus on the benefits of our community. So with that, I will pass it over to whoever's leading this.
So in your attachments, the first one that you'll see is an attachment of the financial plan. What we did was ask the managers to go back and remove all of their discretionary spending so that we could see exactly what it would take to just run the basic operations of the town of the Paw and present that to you. So if you look on page 1 of that financial plan, one of the things that I wanted to make note of is even though you see the total municipal expenditures at $21 million in comparison to the almost $60 million in the previous year, $6 million of that is actually capital expenditures that are going to be covered by grants. So if you were to remove that out of there, we would actually have a lower total expenditures by almost $900,000 for the 2025 budget in comparison to this 2024 budget.
Okay, so that 21 million would be like, okay, I see what
It
you're
would
saying.
be just over 15.
Yeah. Okay. So I had one question with it, if we're still on the revenue line. So I looked at actuals 14,800,000. And so, and I was trying to figure out, because that number just kind of skews the whole look of everything. 14,800,000. So we were almost $1 million under budget.
Yeah, but all the expenditures and revenues haven't yet been recorded in these figures for the end of the year yet. We still get stuff trickling in even now.
Yeah, so what, from your best guess, what do you think that number's gonna, where it's gonna land?
Honestly, I couldn't even give you that best guess right now.
Okay.
So I'd like you guys to go to page 7 of that financial report. I assume that everyone has kind of perused through it. It's the same budget template we've used in subsequent years.
Can I just ask a question on that same page? I wasn't sure how you're gonna do this under
Sure.
expenditures.
Page 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I look at and again, I look at actuals and I know they might not be perfect, but I see, you know, like protective services, 500,000, 150,000 under on, or we're asking for, when I look at the budget versus actual, not budget versus budget. I see us asking for quite a bit, you know, almost, what did I say? Maybe like $800,000 more than actual in the expenditures.
For protective services.
Well, protective services, yeah, 560,000 more, but again, I was just pointing it out because I'm just trying to get, a handle on where that all is. But at the end of it, like you had your net operating deficit of $1.4 million. That $1.4 million without, because it's not actuals, we don't have a year end, but you're not gonna have $1.4 million worth of expenses coming either. Where does that money go?
That would go into general surplus.
Into general surplus. And so if I was looking, because I believe we had a surplus last year too, right?
Yes.
So if I was looking at where the general surplus numbers are, like, is there like, how does that work? How does that general surplus work?
Our deficits go against it. We also have the option of pulling money from that and putting it to a general reserve to be used for a later date, but there really isn't much else besides that.
Yeah, so, but I guess what I'm just trying to figure out is if like say, let's pretend this is the final number.
Okay.
That's about a 7 mil rate increase in taxes that we charged in 2024.
You can't give it back to the public.
Well, yeah, I'm not even saying I want to give it back on, and maybe the public wants it back, but I'm just trying to understand if we overtaxed or overcharged or however, and it could be for all sorts of reasons, canceled projects, you know, like we see in the RCMP costs are coming in way under due to or not way under, but due to their issues with manning, you know, could be whatever it happens to be. I was trying to say, okay, if I had a certain surplus in 2023 and a surplus in 2024, where would I see that number today?
You can't see it on this financial plan. It's because it becomes part of the balance sheet and this financial plan does not have a balance sheet that goes with it.
So if we have 1.4 million now, let's say that's the number. Could we, as a council in 2025, direct that money to something else? To some other reserve to say, well, we have $1 million extra, we want to put it in the,
You can put it into general reserve, and general reserve under the bylaw can be used for whatever council directs it to be used.
okay. Okay, so and I'm sure we're gonna go through the reserves when we get there, so what is the general reserve amount?
Page 13.
Off, like the balance of it.
Yeah,
You actually won't see the balance on the financial statement, you'll just see what comes out of the reserve for the 2025 year. But I can pull it up here for you. I don't think there's anything there.
so where would last year's or this year's over or surplus land? I know we don't need to know that right this second, or if you gotta do some work on it, but
There, the surplus isn't shown in any of the reserves. Again, it's shown on the balance sheet in your surplus deficit.
okay,
Currently, the general reserve has no funds in it.
there's no one.
No funds in it.
So then, maybe I'm just confused and maybe you guys get it, but so if with the last year, what was our surplus?
And some of that surplus was created by also, I don't know if anyone recalls last year, but there was a change in accounting principles last year.
Yeah,
And some of that surplus was created by that change of accounting principles and the restatement of the prior years.
I thought that accounting principles didn't have any impact on taxation other than just how we move our stuff around.
It's just the way it showed up in some of the surplus because of the.
So what you're asking, for example, would have been like, the basketball floor. Say we budgeted $200,000 for that, but it came at 100,000. So you're asking to see where the extra surplus from specific jobs or the surplus?
No, just in general, just
In general, okay.
That would be a bad example, simply because that capital project was covered by reserves.
Reserves, yeah, you just move.
Fair enough.
I'm just wondering, I don't know if others are, but if we're collecting certain amount of taxation. And we're not spending all of the taxation. Minus reserves, because that's our own money, then we should put the surpluses into a actual surplus reserve, or however you do a general reserve.
Yep,
So that is identified in the actual budget as a reserve.
yeah,
And that it could be used for whatever, but then we have actual visibility on what that is. So that reserve could be used for, like, if this year we get aggressive on our budgeting numbers and we say we want to be super tight on everything, and for some reason we miss the boat, then that general reserve surplus can be applied against that instead of applying it directly to taxation.
Yeah.
I think, right?
yep. And last year was actually the first year in my time being here that we actually were at a surplus, and
Yeah.
we came out of the hole with that surplus. Prior to that, we were actually in a deficit position. So it was 1.6 million.
1.6 million
Yeah.
last year?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I think that we should, I think that it'd probably be a good idea for us to have an idea on getting into sort of managing our balance sheet to get that into an
Sure.
actual general reserve, and so that there's visibility there.
And it has to go there. It can't go to the investment.
It has to either go to a general reserve, given back in taxation, or go to your surplus.
Yeah.
We only have three options at the municipal. As far as I remember correctly, I can look into it further and just double check.
Would there be any penalty if it went into general reserve then came out and paid off a debenture?
What do you mean by penalty?
Like, sometimes you pay off a loan, like a debenture, for example, paid off early, sometimes there's
Oh, I
penalties
see.
involved.
I don't know what the province's rules
Like
are
right now.
around debentures and paying them off early. I'd have to check with them to see if they're anything like the banking industry. I'm not 100%
That's,
sure.
that's what I was
They
wondering,
are
they didn't have
very
a
different.
penalty for paying off early, but if you got 1.3 million in debentures owed
Yeah.
and we paid that off, wouldn't that be a good thing? There's $65,000 in interest alone in that, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it just, and it depends on where you put it, and whether you're gonna generate cash from it in an investment.
Right.
Which we do based just in our bank accounts by keeping all those dollars in our accounts and all of our reserves.
And then we also have the 1.5 that are parked.
Yeah. So no, I think that's the point. So perfect. So, you know, if, without getting firm numbers right now, but, you know, you would think that if we could potentially have like $3 million in reserves if everything was in an account. But this is where I believe then we start talking about the bigger vision stuff where we've got areas that we want to develop or invest in. And because this goes into the general reserve, we can decide what we want to do with it. But at the same time, we gotta make sure that we're not every year overtaxing and not, and being too conservative all the time. So, you know, and I think this is a good year for us to be a little bit more aggressive with our taxation.
100%.
I understood in the past that the only thing, like the only option that we had was to return the money. So I'm glad that there's more.
Yeah,
There's more options. Yeah, I looked into it.
and that's the same thing with special service levies, right?
With the special service levies, you have to either return to or put it in reserve. That's your one option.
Yeah. That's what I say, like you.
Yeah.
And that reserve can be a general reserve?
No,
It's
it
gotta
has
be
to be
that special.
specific. It has to be specific to the special service levy. It cannot be general.
Good. All right, sorry to just derail here. I have a bunch of red marks on my sheet, so I.
No, that's okay. For the most part, everything that we went through before with all the managers, not a lot of that has changed as far as any of the fluctuations or major things that they talked about. It's just gonna be, like I said, the discretionary spending has been removed and now separated for you guys to see and decide what you may want to put back into the budget.
Yep.
But I wanted you to be able to focus in on what this looks like with all of it removed.
Yep.
So on page 7, you'll
Can I
actually.
just ask one more question? Sorry, Laura.
Sure.
I'm still on page 1 or page 2. And this is a comment for council. On the accommodation tax. You know, we use that for, you know, the DMC. Has anybody thought about, like, I don't know what our accommodation taxes are versus other municipalities, and I don't know when's the last time there's been a move on that up. Is there any thoughts of increasing our accommodation tax by 0.5% or 1% or, and I don't know what it is anywhere else, it's just, I think about the DMC and all the work that they're doing, if we can continue to, you know, drive economic projects or community projects through there.
It's something
the
that would have
same.
to be approved by the province.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
I'd just be concerned with raising it because we're already disadvantaged with
yeah, no,
with the competitor on the other side of the river, that increase in the tax rates draws more customers to the other.
Yeah, no,
Accommodation tax, so I'd be worried about raising it.
yeah, and that's kind of why I was saying is that do we need to just, not to say that we do it, but is it something that we should look at to see if there's any value in it?
I'd be curious just to see what it compares with other municipalities. Not saying I would do anything.
Yeah.
today, but just kind of curious what the numbers are in other municipalities.
Could we get that as an action, Boa, just just let us know what other municipalities are charging for the accommodation tax, and as I think, you know, council's not making any plans to change it, it's just that we would like to see what it is, and if,
I think Thompson reached out to me yesterday, but 2 months ago, about increasing their communication times. So meeting, they were planning to have a meeting with the minister. So Jerusha said that. They're just looking for collective effort.
In your municipal administrators, meetings, whatever you have, be a good, one to throw on their table to just say, what is the accommodation tax in everybody's municipality and get an idea of. And like I said, we're in a little bit of a unique situation because we have two communities beside each other and only one has an accommodation tax. But I wondered, has anybody ever talked to our neighbors to see if they would charge one?
I know that's been brought up by past councils. I don't know much of the discussion. I know there's a little bit of interest, but obviously we haven't.
Okay. I mean, I think our demand on hotel rooms are pretty premium anyway, so.
They're full.
Yeah.
A month in advance, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'll let you, I'll save all my other stuff till later.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to point out the mill rate on page 7. So with all those discretionary expenditures removed, that means the mill rate for residential would go down by 4.351. You can see it highlighted at the bottom of the page. That's a decrease of 7.5%. And 7.3% for commercial properties.
We haven't got any idea what, schools are gonna look like yet.
No, that could change. If you were to look at page 16, that puts it into a financial perspective for you, and you can actually see on a property that has an assessed value of $150,000, they would receive almost a $300 decrease in their tax bill.
But I also think that we're so far away from that, by the time we go through those other lists, I'm pretty
It's
sure
very
things are
possible,
gonna get
yeah.
added. And then last year, we paid our school tax was 15.135. We have it at sitting right now at 14.369. I'm not sure I would expect that would decrease in 2025. Do you? The mill rate?
I think I might have received KSDs already. It's the provincial one I might not have received yet. I don't know. I have to look at that to be sure.
Is that this 26.2 on page 16 or no? No, I'm on page 16.
Well, that's just showing that
Right here.
separation between the percentage of school tax versus municipal.
Oh,
tax
okay.
at 26.2.
Yeah, I wouldn't suspect that they're, but maybe it is. It'd be great news if it is.
Their budget has to be in fairly soon, I think, end of the month.
I'm not sure how theirs works.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah, it's March now. That's probably accurate. I just don't recall when I would have got the information.
Oh, okay, wow.
So the next thing I wanted to go through with you guys was the grants. I know that, or I suspect that some people have already been to council and presented theirs, and some people, pardon me, some community groups are still waiting to see council. But I wanted you to see a comparison of what we did last year versus kind of
Yeah,
what's
it's good.
on the table for this year. The ones that are highlighted in light blue, the names of them are the people that have put in official requests either by letter or by the form that we asked to be filled out.
I think, my comments on these, like, I don't have any concerns on it, but I think we've talked about it at the last council meeting. I would actually like us to increase the Pond Handyman, grant by $10,000. I think that the Canada Day grant at 20,000 is too high. I think that just needs to be $5,000, just like we do annually. I also think that, the $2,500 for general approval for council is too low. As we mentioned, I think it should be $5,000. Because we still have a choice to decide what we're gonna do with it. And I think too, is we should look at the Power Arts Council 2000 for Culturama. I think that's a potential to grow into a very big, program, and maybe we could bump that up a little bit, but I'm not sure by how much.
That's what they requested.
Yeah, I know. I'm just wanting to be,
So general operations for arts councils requested 6, cultural was requested 2. So that's a increase of $1,000 on the
okay.
operating.
Yeah,
side.
okay, yep.
Yeah.
If that's what they requested, then I'd rather do what they requested.
Mhm.
One question I have, is there a reason we don't put the chamber down in here as like an in-kind grant?
Cool.
Or we give them office space, right?
Oh, because it's not, well, I guess we record the revenue and then record.
The only reason I ask is that like,
Yeah.
include the in-kind portion for trappers.
On
so-
CDC.
Oh, it's, yes, on CDC.
Yeah, we can. Just so it's visible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there's no reason we can't, for sure.
Are we gonna see, just, I guess I should have started at the top. Are we gonna see the library and the recycling? Okay,
I can't comment on the recycling. I'm not 100% sure on that. The library, I think,
Monday.
Library will be coming to the
Next
next
Monday.
council.
March 10th.
okay,
And the recycling, I'm still expecting the response from them. I sent an email, so I'm still waiting.
okay, yeah, so when we keep going down that list there. I'm not sure about that Northern Woods and Highway Association. I don't know if we've ever supported that before. and
We
I don't-
haven't. That's
I
a
don't-
new request this year.
So I'm not 100% sure about that one, that I would support that. I don't have that document in front of me.
I'm gonna assume that the number beside those that have sent in a request letter, that's just what they requested. You just put that number in.
What they requested, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it could still be a 0, just what's in his request.
And Gateway Kuwait and Corridor, do we have we reappointed somebody to sit on that? Like,
I
is
don't think
anybody
there's,
sitting on it?
I was on that, but I don't think that actual board's that active anymore. I think it might be.
I
Haven't
thought,
heard
I
anything.
thought Councilor Ward was on it, no?
He was.
Yeah, no, but I think that there's no, I'm not 100% sure that I was on that board too.
Okay.
And there hasn't been a meeting and
He's more focused on some big group now. That's what.
Hudson Bay Road Association.
At A&M, I think that's what former council
Yeah.
was sitting at that,
Yeah.
at that time.
But if he's holding a spot,
It's not a council
okay,
appointed
okay,
spot.
gotcha. Okay.
So is everybody okay? Well, like, I guess we gotta understand that $2,400 for Northern Woods. Is everybody okay with increasing?
In
Well,
general?
let's go from the top. 2,000 for Arts Council Culturama, 5,000 for Canada Day. Well, that's more or less fireworks.
Is that enough?
Yeah. That's what we did last time.
Well, the fireworks end up costing about 20 grand, but that's everybody.
That's everybody's.
So that's the portion we want.
They put, I think, the cost here in the report.
Yeah, she misunderstood what I was, when she asked me about that. But she thought she was applying for a grant through, the museum. Museum is looking for the National Canada Day Celebration grant. Yeah, so they're already applying for other grants external of the town of the bond.
Okay.
So let's leave it at 5 then, if nobody's got a problem with that. $750 for trappers. I think we should increase that. I mean, that's,
Again, that's what they requested.
yeah.
I think, sorry to interrupt there, but I think maybe we could send a letter to them to actually submit a change. I don't.
Yeah.
They just keep sending the same letter every year and I wish they'd update it, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's almost all in kind. I think the grant actually goes to pay for sponsorship of an event or something like that too, so it's tied to something.
And then, so DMC is just really taxation pass through, right?
Yeah, that's
It
just,
doesn't cost, that's not the
no,
towns.
no.
Immigration, that's good. Are we having enough for MBCI art program? That's all they're asking for. That's what they've had before. Community pride, I'm fine with that. Ag Society, maybe we could actually bump that up a little bit, because again, that's another community event. I want to get more presence in that.
So is this what they asked for? though?
No.
They
just-
haven't put in a request this year, but we've been donating to the Egg Society for a few years.
So can we follow up with them, Bola, to see what their requests are for the main people?
They've typically been coming to ask us for money about a month before.
Yeah, it's too late, yeah.
Just too late, yeah. For some of these that are ongoing annual ones.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see just like an inflator tied to them every year, so they just kind of naturally go up a little bit every year, 5% or something.
Mhm.
I like for people to ask.
Yeah,
I do too, but I mean, we're talking about Egg Society, we're just gonna approve Egg Society right now, so they haven't asked, we're still gonna do it, we might as well just tie an inflator to it.
in Northern Woods,
I'm sorry, can we back up? Is that what council wants to do?
well, I think what we should get, Bola's gonna reach out
Okay.
to the Ag Society and see, make sure they got, so they don't come to us and ask for $10,000 for that horse racing when we say we've already approved our budget.
Okay,
And I think, yeah, the work should be on their behalf to say,
Yeah.
look, if we want more money, sure, we have bigger plans with bigger,
Yeah.
to tie an accelerator to it. I don't think it's necessary. They need to come every year and say, we are looking to do this.
Yeah.
And we give it time, but we've.
Yeah, I agree. The Northern Woods, like I said, I'm not really sure about that. Maybe Bola, you could send council the email that was sent on that. As I don't remember exactly if that's Northern Woods Water Society is the caravan that comes through. Then I think there might be some value in there, but I'm not really sure if that is.
Yeah, you look at number 10 highway on Google Maps, that's what they call it,
Yeah,
is the Northern Woods and
Yeah.
Waterway Highway.
yeah, but I don't
I don't
remember.
know what they do.
Yeah, I
I
don't-
believe this was
It's a-
just tied
it's a
to
magazine.
Highway 283.
Yeah, I think it's a magazine, to be honest with you, but. I think, like I said, under general, I believe we should bump that up to 5,000.
Okay.
We still decide whether we're gonna spend it or not, and, we got, we got our hands cuffed when we couldn't do anything more, and we were then spending other things. The animal shelter or Kelsey Planning, we don't need anything, they're non-existent, more like that.
Kelsey Planning, I removed because they haven't been active for
Yeah.
2 years.
Upon animal shelter, I'm fine with that. The handy van, I'm suggesting that we contact them, see if they want more money. I think it's like we had discussed at our last meeting. If we've been giving them the same amount, they're such a critical service in our community. And maybe it's time to bump them up by $5,000 or $10,000.
Why is the paw animal shelter, though? It's in at 15.
That's what they've requested.
Oh, that's what they
Yeah,
requested this
we've
year.
been giving 8 the last couple of years and they've requested 15 this year.
I would like to see the request letter on that one too,
Sure.
that's the double.
Sure, and then, the handy van, we talked about scholarships. Why has that gone up?
Pardon me?
Was that you sent us something in that April? On scholarships, went from 2,500 to 6,500?
That's just the actual value that's been coded into it hasn't gone up or down. We did give 65. That's just what was coded into there in the actual value. So
Oh, okay.
it requires me to do some adjusting entry.
The other thing I was gonna ask is, should we have a line item for community cleanup event, sort of issues that are like, so if we have that community cleanup like we did last year, I don't know where that money is.
Do you want to specifically have something in the grants for that? Last year we put it through the community enhancement fund.
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't know where, I just don't wanna miss it, that's all, I just don't know where it is, that way.
We can have it in the reserve side. Is
Yeah,
that where you want it to come out?
Yeah.
Okay, how much do you want? to come
well,
out?
I don't know, I think we spent like $3,000 last year, we put
We
aside.
budgeted 3 grand, but we
But we
didn't.
didn't spend that much though.
Yeah, but we ended up spending it on other things, I think.
No, that's okay, I'm just saying, we did not, do you want 3 grand in there still?
I think we should, yeah. Okay,
So that's
No.
our grant. Okay, so we've got the discretionary spending reports for each one of the departments. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to go through them. I don't know if you want to do these one by one or,
Well, we can, I have questions and I went through them, we can find good questions.
okay, well, we'll just go general operating. So the maintenance manager, that one has been removed. That was, I also included the sheet there that was prepped by our.
Yeah, no, that was good. So just so I'm clear then, so I know it's been removed, but the point of this is that if council sees the reason why it was put in the first place, and if council has decided that we like what they're talking about, then we can get it back in, right? Yeah. So I look at the maintenance manager and then I look at the next one. The organizational review, and I believe that we should do the organizational review in 2025. And if it identifies the maintenance manager in 2026, then we should sort of do it in that direction and make sure we have we're doing the right things.
Okay.
That's my thinking.
I know you put the sheet in for this one, Andre, but I don't believe $25,000 is gonna be enough for a proper organizational review. I don't know how council.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Bumping this up to roughly 60, and the reason I'm saying this is because I've already looked into the cost of the organizational
Okay.
review when it was originally in our budget 2 years ago and then got kicked.
Yeah.
So I know that we're not gonna get what we're looking for 25,000.
I think the last one was 35 and it wasn't necessarily what we wanted to
It-
see.
Was only on the public works side, and it was limited. So I think if council is okay with that, I'll put the organizational review in, but at 60,000.
Yeah.
Show them.
Yep.
Seems like a lot of money to,
I know.
like, what I would rather see, not rather, I would still like to see an organizational review. But I think we need something like a lead hand position more so than a manager. As the test in the grounds, right? Are we more efficient? Are we more
Yeah.
effective by having a lead hand, somebody that can actually take the maintenance department and lead them rather than left on their own? I don't think,
They're not left on their own right now, they're under a manager.
And I agree with,
because managers are busy doing other things, so a lead hand would help take and alleviate and hopefully allow those other managers to focus on their work. And have, like I said, a hybrid version where the cost is reduced and have somebody leading them and looking after their work.
and I don't disagree with you. And this is why I think that this discussion has to be, this is why we need to have that organizational review done first.
I
So we
agree.
can decide whether we need another manager, or do we need another supervisor, or do we need another lead hand, and how, or do we have enough resources as it is today, and we just need to shuffle the deck a little bit? And that's where I would like us to see more than just bringing in an ex-retired CEO or CAO. I would like somebody to come in and do a real formal review about how maybe we're asking for too much from our staff with reports, and maybe if we streamline this and what the best practices are, so that can help us sort of align our strategic plan to the way we're doing things. It's been talked about almost every single year that we've done this. I think it's probably time to do it. So I agree with you, Councilor Manich, it's that I'm not sure the manager's there. I'm not sure if it's a lead hand, I'm not sure what it is. I think we should, I know it's a lot of money for a study, but it does.
That's my hang up, right?
I know.
We spend money on studies all the time and then they're never utilized.
Yeah, and that's the,
I can try and find some grants for it. I know last time I did a grant application for it, I still have a copy of it.
Yeah.
See if that grant is still available, and hopefully we can get a portion of it covered, whether it's even if it's 25%. I
Yeah.
can see if there's somewhere I can get something covered from it.
yeah, and at the end of the day, for us as council, we just got to remind, we put this in our budget. And if we're not satisfied when it comes to resolution, we can always say, no, that's not what we're looking for, and we can put a stop on it anyway, so it's not mission critical stuff sort of thing. But so I think what we're saying is we're not okay with the maintenance manager. We would like to see some sort of review done. Hopefully and everything we're talking about, hopefully we can get grants for. I put in the Tri-Community Foundation, I think what we should be doing as a municipality is donating annually to that foundation, to grow it. It benefits our community. I believe that the other communities are doing the same thing. And I think this is I believe this is something we should do, for $25,000 a year.
I think it's high, Andre, or Mayor Murphy. I think it's high. If and when it comes time for us to get a clinic, if we were to get one, that's a big contribution that we have to come up with money for.
But if we can always stop it though, this isn't just for this year. I mean, so annually it would be pushed every year. So I don't know why.
So could this fall into the grants instead of?
Oh, that's what I mean, it is.
Yeah, like it will get, all these things that get added back in are gonna be all over the
Okay,
place.
okay, because I'm like, taxpayers can donate to this if
Yeah.
they choose to.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
their
yeah,
own.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna.
Yeah, but it's showing our
Okay.
community's commitment, because some taxpayers might not be able to afford to do that individually on their own. So we're helping. And again, I think you're right, it's on this list, but that would be under the grants. Every year it would show up
Okay,
and you would decide at that point in time.
There are a lot of communities that do have these foundations to donate annually as
Yeah.
well. So I'm okay with that.
The BIS,
I'm sorry, can I just get a response from the rest of the council? Do you want to see it in there or? Council Forester, comment, match?
Yeah, I'm okay with it for now.
yeah, and I guess I would assume that if nobody's speaking up, that we're kind of in agreement.
That's. I think something
Good
kind of,
inception.
this a lot of times I read things, I'm like, council didn't agree to that, that was just on
Oh.
So I think it is important that we do kind of acknowledge at least.
Okay, I will do
Yes,
that.
It's good that you do it, but we have to make sure we speak to it and say, yeah, we agree, rather than just be quiet.
Annual, that BIS safety software, my comment was, is that an annual license on that? And
The annual portion would be $11,000 a year.
yeah, my thinking on this is we should start slow with a spreadsheet. And my other question was, is there any links to payroll? Can we put people's training records in the payroll system?
We can in our HIRS software, once we can get it fixed. So yes, that option is always available to us.
And then the other part, though, on this was the training part of it.
Mhm.
I do believe there's actual other training groups that will do online training that you can sign up for that are pretty inexpensive and not an annual fee as much as that. So I'm not sure if we're supporting that. Anybody okay with that?
Which manager came forward with this?
Our HR manager.
Is there a reason he picked this one?
He felt that we were lacking in the training side, I believe mostly in the safety side, but currently right now, the way Public Works operates is that either once a week, if it's standard, normal, everyday work as they've done for years on end, or at the start of anything that they've never done before, there's a tailgate meeting. So he goes through and our Public Works supervisor, and he touches base on all the safety, I guess, steps that need to happen, whether it's a dig or whether they're working a heights or whether they're working low or whether they're working in the cool. And even though they're doing that stuff every single day, he does touch on it once a week at the very least, even if it's, again, regular operations. But if it's something they've never done before, he will have a tailgate meeting just for that and go through the safety steps and make sure that everybody understands the process that needs to be followed. So right now, they're doing it. They're just not doing it in an electronic format. And they're not doing it in a fashion that the HR manager is able to track, but can it be tracked? Yes.
So yeah, realistically, they could build a spreadsheet and.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do that.
All of those things are documents signed off on because it's required by Safety Manitoba. So even though you have a tailgate meeting and 20 people are there, everybody signs a document saying, I was here, this is what I learned. And that is in compliance with Safety Manitoba's.
Yep.
Whatever bylaws or whatever you want to call them. But he was just hoping for something a little more streamlined, and then it would also, he said that it would provide training based on positions
It's looking at job specific training.
Yeah, based on the positions. But right now, from what I've seen from the training, it's exactly what we do now, just what we do now is in a face-to-face on a piece of paper format versus electronic.
Is this yearly fee then?
$11,000 of that is the annual fee. And the rest, the other 3,000 is the initial set of costs.
So, and we're okay with leaving that off for now and
Yeah.
see where it goes.
I think HR and the managers working together to come up with a way of tracking and devising, especially with HR being new, it kind of gives him a chance to grow his skill set too.
Flagpole at the Civic Center. I'm sorry,
Just one question, since we feel that our manager can set up something. Do our managers not reach out to other municipalities and see what they do and how they would set something like that up, like?
This is how he ended up coming up with this program. This is something Thompson uses.
I think we consulted with Thompson.
well, like I said, start slow and get the system, the manual, or maybe a little bit clunkier system, and once we kind of got ourselves set up, we're not tied into an $11,000 bill annually.
Yeah.
Flagpoles at the Civic Center, I did send Bola a grant application today for this. I think that when I just quickly scanned it, I believe there's an opportunity for that to do the flagpoles on that grant. And also I believe there's an opportunity to get maybe something else downtown, you can get up to $100,000. So I think this is important for us to do, but I'm not sure if it's $40,000 is a lot of money, but we should have an image of being a professional organization with a welcoming front end.
Can I maybe make a recommendation here?
Yeah.
Instead of doing flag poles, because that is generally very expensive, can we not just get something that mounts to the side of our building that would display our flags?
That's good, yeah.
You can get like poles that basically jut out from the building for way cheaper than trying to sink something into the ground.
Yeah, that's a good option.
And I think when we first started talking about the idea, I think we'll brought it forward to do the flags. I would like to see a revamping of the entire front, make it more
Yeah,
inviting,
I
more
agree.
professional looking. And I do like Laura's idea because the flag poles specialized are very pricey. The one outside is only 9 years old and it already looks like it's been there for 20.
Yeah.
So
No, so we're looking, so maybe we put some money aside from that, maybe
I
half
think
of it for
well,
now.
I think the $40,000 is a fair number, but I don't think it should be sunk into flag poles. It should be in
Whatever,
developing the entire front.
beautification or something.
Yeah, because I know the ramp is not very
Yeah,
user friendly or compliant. And the minute we start removing it, it's got to be replaced to be compliant. So we need to come up with a plan that makes your front more appealing and more maintenance free, I guess.
How close to the sidewalk can a flagpole go? Does it matter? Is there regulations around that?
I have no idea.
A Pasquayac at their LED plant. I feel like they put up like 12 flags down there. It's beautiful. It's really, really nice what they just did.
Well, I think that I sent that grant application stuff to Bola. I do believe, like, I would like to see I know I didn't put it in there, but I would like to see that corner of Edwards and Second Street, I guess it is.
Yeah, that was what I was just gonna mention, because this is for the civic
Yeah.
center. My concern there is that if we put in flagpoles, and I've had this discussion with our public works, I guess, department, is that we have lights on all of those corners too, and that's already very congested as far as garbage cans, light poles. Now we're gonna add flagpoles. And you're wanting it at the corner, like the corner where Giant Tiger is and the corner where
Yeah,
it's not the French
that is
Center.
vacant lot and
Yeah.
family resources.
Family resource, thank you, and then where the next shake is, and then where HR or Northern Regional Health is. And we've got, again, light poles there, we've got buildings that are right adjacent to the sidewalks. There's not a lot of room there right now to maneuver when Public Works is trying to do work.
Yeah,
What if we consider redoing the inner area?
Yeah, well, that there,
Like, I was just thinking like.
Yeah.
A U-shaped section with like poles around the next trick or something, I don't know.
but how about even this? Why don't we contact Rotary and invest some money down in Sunset Park? And even put a little stage down there and develop that area as well. That's just down by the fish shack, over to the left.
You recall the old plans that were drawn?
No, I know, I've seen that, so that's,
Okay, I
but
just was wondering if maybe that was the direction you were headed in.
but that's what Rotary's looking for a project too, and maybe we can partner with them. So anyways, this is outside of this discussion. Everybody's okay with us leaving some money there, coming up with some, as Councilor Manning said, some sort of plan at the front so that we kind of spruce up the entire front of the building for now.
I agree with Laura, and I agree with Councilor Manage as well. I think we need those 3 light poles as you suggested off the building.
Yeah.
Much cheaper, and then yes, I think that in front of our building, or that whole area does need a redo.
Yeah,
I like the pool.
I would like, yeah, I like the polls too, but I would like, I would also say that we would like to see a plan because I think there's more than 3. I think we should do 5. We should have the Manitoba Métis flag there and, the Treaty 5's flag. But we can have those discussions. So I'm assuming this will line up as a capital item on the capital.
Yeah, it'll go into the capital, but it's coming out of operations, so the mill rate in order to fund it.
Yeah.
So you guys want it to be funded through something else.
No, it's just as long as it's a line item somewhere.
Oh, yeah, no, I just was curious
Yeah.
whether or not you wanted to be maybe funded under something else.
Maybe.
Like, would you prefer this to come out of community enhancement funds versus general mill rate, or
What is in the community enhancement fund again?
that is?
No, how much money is in there?
Oh,
I don't think there's,
there's not like tons and tons, but
and would that meet? Yeah, that would probably.
community enhancement at the end of 2024, we had 328,000.
Yeah, we probably would do that.
Community enhancement. fund.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I know this is where a lot of the, I know it sounds big, but this is also where a lot of the funds are coming from to support the recreation's capital projects this year too. That would be proposed when they put forth the capital plan in December.
Okay, so everybody's good with that? Office furniture, I support that. I mean, we need to get, our staff needs to be able to sit in chairs and have the proper.
That's for the committee, right?
Committee and council.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's to replace the chairs in the council chamber and I believe a board table and all the chairs in the committee room.
Well, I'm okay with the chair I've got. I can handle it for a couple more years, so.
Why do we need a new table?
Oh, yeah, one for the
Short
chair.
one in there.
My, what's that? Go ahead.
One more screen, please.
I believe we need another screen.
You want it permanently mounted to the, yeah.
And I personally like to see one permanently mounted at the wellness center.
I had that discussion with Joe, we're actually permanently mounting it in the multi-purpose room. He does have a little bit of concerns with that, so maybe not permanently mounting it, but putting it on
On
a
a cart or
Google
something?
stand. Simply because the multi-purpose room is also used for birthdays and day camp and stuff like that. He's concerned it's going to get damaged by small children.
They do make a hinged thing, you can fold it up and put it up on the ceiling, so it's way out of the way.
Well, they have them all in dressing rooms and they're not.
That might be a good idea,
Yeah, maybe.
to look at, like, I know, sorry, no fun, but Costco has a 100-inch screen right now, that would be ideal in that room, and on the hinge, to put it up and out of the way, so the kids aren't
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
cupcakes at it.
and on top of that, there's, in every dressing room, there's TVs in there. I don't think they've been smashed out of it.
But the dressing room you're dealing with, I think, a little more disciplined children that are in like.
Well,
hockey and stuff, right?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. They don't throw stuff at each other.
But a lot of the times in the dressing room, you do have a coach present, would be
Oh, I don't know about that.
stipulation part.
But yeah, I think that, as council manager said, yeah, we, let's put some money, maybe we leave the money there. I'm not sure if let's decide whether we need new chairs and tables.
I would say with the chairs and stuff, like, it does mention here about some being a safety concern. If it's a safety concern, replace it otherwise.
Throw it away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So all this other stuff is just the
It's-
backup to that.
Yeah, it's the supporting documents for what was submitted, your two requests,
Yeah.
Andre, as well as Bo's request
Yeah.
for the maintenance manager. So if we move on to the fire department's requests then,
I'll start with this one. On the first one, I'm not sure we're ready for that $209,000 expense this year. I'm not, I've read all this documents. I just don't know if we are comparing apples to apples with other municipalities and the discussions I have, so I'm personally not sold on this at all. With that or the dispatcher.
and maybe some more will come out of a operational review that could either support for
Yeah.
or against either one of those things.
Like, when I look at the second item, the dispatcher admin support, I know we've just, hired we have two new employees, Ravi and I never caught her name.
Aisha?
Yeah, so, I mean, if there's some minor administrative support there, I think that they could probably get some help from there. If there's something they needed.
Yeah, it's possible, I don't know.
I don't know what they need, like, again, this is why I say, like, it's $225,000. It's a mill rate itself.
I'm
And
not sure that much has changed in our fire department as far as service area over the last, 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna pretend to understand the operations of the fire department, but it's never had positions like this in the past.
So anybody else got anything?
I can echo what you said, definitely in comparison to other municipalities, there's no justification to it at all. And with being as respectful as possible here, adding 4 staff members makes me wonder, what are our 2 currently doing? That would be the only way I can do it, because these items here are things that are day-to-day tasks. Like truck maintenance and all the things that get into the explanation, those are things that the deputy chief and chief do.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's-
Dispatcher, more calls, if you did a ratio, you have more calls after office hours than you do during regular office hours. So is this person doing overtime every time the pager goes off, or are they just another member of the fire department to get into that
Yeah.
thing, right? You don't need a secretary or an admin assistant.
So we're gonna hold off on those first top 2, their fire ad material, like when I looked at discretionary, and this is one of my head scratchers. Was, I get discretionary, but if we said no. I think that there's some stuff's not quite discretionary, but I would say the materials, like, yeah, I mean, of course, we wanna promote fire safety and all that.
Mhm.
The wildfire risk assessment. My only question with that, is there any other way we can do that without spending the money? Like, can we do it ourselves? Can we talk to wildland fires guys like Lauren Siskowski and say,
They're the ones that do that.
can they come over and just give us an
I can
afternoon?
get a hold of Lauren and see if that's something, or
Yeah.
get a fire to get a hold of them, but. And I've also contacted our insurance company to see, because I thought I remember you mentioning something about them supporting or having some sort of support for this, but they said that they don't do anything like that.
Not specific, I might have misunderstood, but they will come and do a risk assessment of your community to identify areas, because that's what they do. This is what they told me in a meeting. So I will find out again when I talk to Western Financials, what
Okay.
they were saying, but it's like, if you have tripping hazards or you got an area in town, like,
So it's like a full risk assessment.
yeah,
When I contacted our broker, she said they don't
Okay.
do anything like this. I think I sent the email to you.
oh, I'll show you some.
And the fire underwriters is supplementary to everything else. It's this much of this picture, right? It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, we didn't do this or we didn't add that, therefore everything jumps. It's one portion of how they determine what our premium rates are. There's so many other factors.
When the EMO guys came, did they say that they would do some risk assessments as well,
I think.
when we met with them?
Mhm. I just like I said, look, I think we need to do it. It's important that we do it, but is there another way of doing it? We don't have to spend the money. The station wear stuff, I don't really understand that, what that even is, like.
Well, he mentioned in his presentation that he wanted station wear on top of their uniforms. So when they come to fire calls, they put on their station wear. The thing is most of the time they're at work or they're, doing things, you're not gonna put on station wear. It's nice, but they have uniforms already. So I would agree to making sure that everybody has uniforms, but to have uniforms and station wear
Okay.
is redundant. That's $12,000 because the last time we bought uniforms was $7,000.
So we wanna make sure everybody has uniforms, I guess what we're saying. Radio room door. Sounds like an expensive door, but if we need a door, I have no problem with that, but I don't know. The area.
So now I'm a little bit confused. It's put in discretionary spending, but it was in part of the fire inspection report saying it was mandatory to be installed. So I'm confused that it's under discretionary spending, if he's sticking to the idea that it needs to be there. I know we've
Didn't he
beat it to
say,
death.
yeah, didn't he say though that was an error that he put that in?
I
No, and then it
thought,
went
I
back
heard
in.
something about it being an error
Yeah.
too, because it was
He did.
grandfather.
I think he
Right.
does,
Yeah.
because it needs information that was.
Yeah,
Without-
but
hey, guys.
it ended up not being
so what else-
grandfathered though, so there's more to, there's more to it.
So without getting into that part, is this a valid request? Would we do this? Despite of all the other kind of confusion we know around this request?
So just as an idea, because this isn't a new item, you were on the last council when I talked about carcinogens and exhausting that. The idea that we had come up with, but we ran out of time, was just like you see in freezer doors. Right,
Mhm.
where you have the strands, so it's not a big physical, like in a freezer door, you have the strands
Yeah.
of basically poly that block and give you, so you don't, as his example, exhaust blowing in the radio over his face. It cuts down on that without being a physical door that can lead into other issues, right? It's something that you can just pass through. It's an option to consider as a means of lowering the cost, so lowering the.
I think Byron or the fire chief needs to
Yes.
maybe come back again and speak to his department.
Well, I think what we're saying is, and I don't disagree, but I think what we're saying is that we want to do something there to put there, but we're just not sure what it is, so let's leave the money there. But we would like to know what his plan is when he comes with it, so we know what exactly they're looking for.
Okay.
Agreed, guys?
Yeah.
Pagers, I thought we already approved that, I didn't think that was. I thought we approved that when it came to the first one, that they didn't have enough pagers.
It was a discussion that was had, and then he put it on his discretionary spending.
Okay, so we need pagers.
I'd like more information on that one as well, because most departments in the province have actually gone to strictly app-based. Because of the cost of pagers being $700 each, most guys tend to lose them, go fishing, they fall off, and they have a limited range.
What are you saying before?
Well, we use an app and
Oh, an app.
pagers, right? So the app we pay $1,000 a year for or more, and you have pagers on top of that. Most, when they have the app, don't use the pager. So it'd be nice to hear from other municipalities or have Byron say, why are we using both
Okay,
if we're paying for both?
that's a good
Because
point.
I know they were trying to phase them out, just because it's hanging on your belt
Yeah.
and they go missing all the time.
No, that's
I
a
know
good point.
even if it's on here, if the cell phone towers go down, the app even states do not use as primary paging source.
Yeah, it
My
says
guess
that
is
right in
it's-
here.
It's not 100% reliable where a pager is.
No, the pagers go down more often than cell phone towers because they're regulated by James Telecom. And when they're,
I didn't
yeah,
realize they were-
if their repeater goes down, you don't get paid. That's why so often we'll get a phone call say, hey, how come you guys aren't responding? Well, because the pager didn't go off before we had the app.
So.
Yeah.
I will do provide more information.
Yeah, more.
Yeah, that's it. Just a little more information of, is the cost necessary? Just because the app is getting better and better all the time and our service.
Pages. In that case, they only need the pager. That they got.
Yeah,
One or, yeah, the point said, I don't even want to carry a pager, the app's good enough.
Well, I just wanna make sure these guys have the tools to be able to
Right.
respond.
I think Byron needs to speak to some of these.
Yeah, so
We're
we've got two
speaking for
follow.
him and his team, and I don't feel that we should be doing that.
Well, you know
We're
what, though?
assessing his information.
Yeah, the information. He did share this, and it's, we got the
Yes,
follow-up.
but there's some questions that we're trying to answer in-house that only Byron has the answers to.
Right, not this one, we're talking about.
Which ones?
No, that's fine. I can ask him to come to the next budget meeting and he can clarify. some-
Yeah, I know, I still wanna go through this, so we know which one we have to follow up, like, I think the couple at the top are pretty straightforward
Yep.
already. But, well, let's just get through this phone, we can't control the
That's
cost of
regular
phones.
operations.
Yeah. Meals, my only question with that is that enough money for them, for the calls that they're having? And what are the controls around it? So if we're gonna be supplying meals, is it after a certain period of time? Who checks off on it? Is it every single fire call? So I would just like to know what the policy is on meals.
Okay.
And I do want the guys to get a meal if they're out there and they need to be healthy and all that. But, and so is $500 enough?
No, remember that's a 500 increase, so it might already be 1,000, so it might be 1,500.
Yeah.
So if that's.
This is an increase?
Yeah, that's an increase of 500. Yeah, that's.
Oh, sorry, yeah,
That's the 500.
Yeah,
So it might
okay.
be 1,000 right
I
now.
didn't read, yeah, okay, that's good, I didn't read that part. Command one, increase of 1,500, we gotta maintain it. The pylons, so if I look at, that first request and then the command two equipment. One's for 2,600, one's for 2,000. I'm not sure. What do we use today? We don't have pylons, or they're just getting old or rough, or,
I don't remember speaking to this in our meeting.
No, I don't recall that either. If it's replacement of what we have, then it should just be done.
yeah,
And I think again, that's just operations cost, that's
Yeah.
things you buy because you need them,
yeah,
or you realize that you're short, or because they happen on the road, you go on the road and someone runs them over, you gotta buy a new pylon.
Yeah.
To me, that's just general operating.
but it is $5,000 with those two things, so it's good that he's pointing that out, because we wouldn't wanna be buying them every year, it shouldn't be buried in the budget. Bumper two, just increase in for repairs. The training area. I think, again, I don't know enough about this $18,000 door.
The doors are, you can buy them for $4,000, and our training district has one that we bought. So I'm not.
Yeah, so we should
only
get,
18,000 per door.
we should get more information on that one as well. What's that?
I don't remember.
No, I don't either. Pumper two equipment, 4th century tools need to be replaced in the next year or two, so if it's two, then move it to 2026.
Yeah.
Again, keeping in mind, we don't know what's happening in 2025 with our good friend south of us. Zodiac navigation unit. I have no idea about this. We haven't had it forever. I don't know why we would need it now, but
And the RCMP seem to be doing almost all the water rescues this year.
just seems a lot of money to put in something that we don't use that often, so I'm unsure if somebody comes in and passionately says that needs to be done. So I would say right now I'm a question mark on that with a no. On the next one, I will take a little bit. It says body work repairs as per Mayor Murphy's request. And so, yeah, it is my request, and it should be all of our community's request. When we smash up vehicles, they should be fixed by the insurance.
But, yes.
Buy
So-
insurance and right away.
Yeah, so I do want it fixed. I don't know why it costs $7,000, but if we can't get insurance now, it should be fixed. And our standard should be anytime we smash up a vehicle, it should be covered by insurance and fixed.
It would have been covered, but I didn't even know it was damaged.
Yeah,
I
so
haven't been informed of it being in an accident to make an insurance claim.
I always look at the fire department's equipment as the nicest, shiniest, cleanest equipment around town. And if there's damage to it, we should fix it.
And just as a side to that, not for the fire department, do it for just in general, I think when we're seeing rust all over vehicles too, that should be cleaned up as well.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of trucks that have a lot of rust on them.
Well, I mean, work trucks, I get that, that's what happens.
Well, little, yeah, like you have whole panels.
Yeah.
that are ready for them.
When we have
That's
a replacement fund.
Patchwork quilt week.
Yeah,
But I guess if we need to understand the policy with regards to our equipment. So, and if there's not a policy, we should have one. If we have a licensed driver that's doing something and gets damaged, we should fix it and use our insurance policies, which is MPI, to repair it. And if we damage somebody else's vehicle, such as we did on Orange Street, we shouldn't pay $5,000 and we should use the insurance we have.
I had asked about a year and a half ago, not to either of you, Jen was still here, but we have a policy, or did have a policy, as recently as 2 years ago, about our trucks. Leading into, the maintenance, how they look, like I said, it is the taxpayers' money, they don't wanna see that old jalopy with a different panel and everything else falling off it, but sometimes we do what we have to, right? But future wise, we should be following our policies as well, that says we buy white trucks. That's in our policy. And I'd asked the question how we ended up with a red one in the fire department. So I think if we're gonna have policies, we're gonna amend them to stay certain levels, or as Councilor Allen pointed out, look like hell, at what point do they get retired? At what point do we say there's a true reason to get rid of it? Or like I said, if it is starting to rust, is there something we could do? Could the body shop or even the maintenance guys take a little bit of white paint just to make it look a little better, right? It's a lot of pride that we've been trying to instill for the past 2.5 years.
So vehicle policy, we should have put that on our to-do list. And then the transfer to reserves, I mean, I think that's council is also supporting transferring to reserves, and we'll continue to do that based on our financial strengths. And
So you want this increase of the 98.5 going to there?
no, whatever our regular reserves to meet,
So
like,
the fire department, we put, all of the retention fees there, which in the past has been $64,000, but will be increased this year. Based on the new agreements that were signed, so I think it's roughly 115,000 right now, based on the signed agreements or the ones that are gonna be signed. And then there's an extra 50,000 we put in there for taxation.
yeah. So for me, for what I would like to, I think we need to have a discussion on reserves itself and what our plans are for them.
Okay.
Each of the reserves. And it's hard to, if we're trying to plan for the future, it's hard to just, if we don't have a good long-term solid capital plan, it's hard to say that I want to increase reserves for that if I don't have any spending for it. Because once we put it in there, it's hard to move it around.
Next budget meeting, you want me to bring forth a copy of the fire department's 10-year capital plan?
Sure, well, I've seen it, but I've seen some of that on all of our capital plans. But I do think that we also need to have a plan for just a longer term plan for our reserves and what our debentures are closed in 2025. That we have a plan to put that into a development policy or something.
And it's gonna be a longer discussion outside of our budget meeting, so that's gonna have to be something we deal with maybe in QIC.
Oh, that's a good idea, and we could just bring it to council, okay?
Yeah, but for now, this particular $98,000.
This is in addition to the roughly
Correct.
165.
No,
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 and it gets omitted.
Hmm?
That I would say omitted, that
Yeah.
if we're already doing the 115 plus, the 98 extra isn't required.
we have to sign off on a 5-year plan first and a 10-year plan, and that we really are going to build. We are really gonna buy a fire truck in 3 years or whatever it happens to be. Once we have this plan laid out and we say, this is what we're gonna do, then we should start saving for that point in time. But I'm also gonna throw, maybe the reserves alone is not the only way to actually purchase big
100%.
equipment. So I think that we need a discussion around that.
Yeah.
My concern is, to be honest with you, beyond fire trucks is the backer. I think that that's a critical piece of equipment in our community that we need to really look at.
100%.
So right now, no, we're gonna stick with our own plan with reserves.
Sorry, just to go back to the REU equipment and the plastic. Purchase plastic auto.
So,
We didn't touch on that one.
Third last one.
oh,
Or are you equipment?
Yeah. He wants to purchase other cribbing.
What's their equipment?
like car accidents, that.
I don't have any, if they need it for their rescues and stuff, and that's, I have no problem. Do they have to buy it all at once? I don't know.
It's-
Sure.
Plastic. I thought that it was used before.
No, because I get too much huffing and puffing.
That's like really addictive.
Well, the thing is,
This,
so
It says,
a couple of years ago, we had bought a set of auto cribs. And then you have your other jacks, which are spent on $18,000. It just becomes luxury, right? And again, I hate the premise, but it's how we've always done business. We've referenced it many times. We buy the best we can afford. And to say, well, we don't know if the wood's any good or not. Well, we make more, right? $7,000 on some crib. You can buy auto cribs for much cheaper. So I just feel that it's
What do, other departments like ours have?
most are using 4x4 cribbing and 2x4s, things like that. We do have, like I said, auto cribs, which are aluminum and alloy type that are actually spring loaded. You slide them under, you pull the trigger and they actually crib automatically. They're nice. And they're nowhere near $7,000. So I'm just curious, what else is being built into that $7,000? Because it's not $7,000.
So we should get some, just a little bit more details on that one as well. Sorry, I skipped that.
Okay, so we'll get you guys some more details and get the fire chief back here to talk on some things. I would say we can do that for the next meeting. Okay, so moving on to the community safety. Again, dispatcher admin, that was a half and half between the fire department, so if it's out on one side, it's out on the other.
Yeah.
And they wanted to radios.
So
I had another side discussion with him with regards to this, and he said kind of what they're doing right now is working, so if council's not for this, then like they're okay with that, it's not gonna be imperative to the functionality of their department. He was also saying that it might not even be feasible for those radios, if I remember the discussion correctly, and I can't remember why though.
there was, Mike and I had a discussion.
Okay,
The PSCS radios are not eligible for them to use to contact the other agencies.
Yeah.
So you're gonna spend $5,000 radio as opposed to $1,500 a radio. It doesn't benefit them and they only work. PSCS radios are great when we're outside of that radio range, or you can contact the other agencies. But due to their standard, they're not allowed to call in to
Yeah.
RCMP anyway.
Yeah.
So you're buying a piece of equipment that doesn't, you don't need, it's like buying a satellite phone
yeah.
instead of a cell phone when you're in a cell phone area.
So I guess we're not doing that.
I think we just make sure they have a good quality radio that's gonna suit their needs at UHF level.
And then the last time I talked to the RCMP about this as well, because I was there when this came up. We, like I said, if you needed one of our radios, we can put one there for you.
Well, what Mike has said is when they are out helping RCMP do like specific things to support their department, they actually give them a radio,
Yeah.
one of theirs, to say, hey, use this channel, contact us through here, so that they
Yeah.
have direct contact with whoever's on whatever scene doing whatever they're doing. So he says that's working really good.
And are they still using their personal cell phones?
No, they all have,
They all have.
town as plus, it's all three of them. They're not using personal cell phones at all.
months ago, like.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah, he's been gone. He wasn't at our last meeting. That's right. Okay.
Okay, garage,
Okay,
garage administration. I'm not in favor, but I didn't want to be first, but I'm not sure if that's required right now, especially in this environment.
I agree, we need to do that assessment.
Yeah.
Before we start
Yeah.
hiring to a new position.
And if it's needed, it'll fall in.
Fire break. I guess if this gets identified, we can put some money away, but I think we need to understand what that is and what. I know that the fire break that we did this year originally was cause us even more grief. That we need to make sure we do it right and.
So you're thinking like have an assessment done first or?
Well, I think somebody like we said, Lauren or somebody comes around and says, this is your threat, and
Part of
this
that
is,
as well. for
yeah.
assessment, okay.
this is what you should do, but this is how you do it. This is what it's gonna look like when it's done. We don't just drive a loader through it or a track machine and knock it all down into a big pile.
I don't really want this to be part of what all the fires.
Is this to clean up and finish the one behind Traeger? Cause I know Sam said it wasn't complete because the project went ahead before there was approval. So is this to kind of finish the project that didn't get budgeted for the year before?
I was under the impression this was to extend.
Yeah, that's what I thought, so, too.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, I was told that it didn't really finish it, so I thought maybe that was to.
Yeah, I was back there. They've got it. It's
Like
a few
originally, it took a lot of time from the time that the bush was knocked down to the time.
To
Someone
haul
came back
it.
and cleaned everything out. And I'm not sure if maybe that's where you're thinking that it wasn't completed,
Yeah,
but
no,
as far as
think
I
it-
knew, it was completed.
Well, what they had set out to do, but as Mayor Murphy said,
Yeah,
have an actual
Yeah.
plan, not just to go
Yeah.
cut some down some trees or.
yeah.
So is this planned in the same area or is it behind UCN? Like, what are they foreseeing? Like the fire break, they must have a location picked out in order to come up with a number.
I couldn't tell you, I have to come back to you with
Yeah.
that. But if we're gonna make this part of a wildfire assessment plan, then we should.
Then you
Should have this
Big
area,
plan.
this area, do that one.
And just remove this for now, come up with a proper plan during the 2025 year and bring it in for 2026 budget.
And when those guys are driving through town, doing all the sides of the highways and stuff, it's a great opportunity for them to come and do this at the same time.
Yeah,
Okay.
School sign zonage. I wanna do this, but my only question is, can we do anything to reduce this? Because I was told that most municipalities don't even put up all those signs.
I would have to talk to them about their plan and.
Well, it's this issue is that the number of signs that gotta go up to
Yeah.
meet the regulation.
Yeah,
Or however they do it, but it sounds like some municipalities, you can get around it and not have to put up that many signs. And I believe we should understand which ones because I think council has already said to go ahead with this. But I thought we were gonna do like Settee Avenue and Hogan Avenue, but not the cross streets. Constant Avenue, Third Street and Highway or something like that.
Yeah, the ones where you can actually build up speed.
Yeah, not
Yeah, you don't
not
need to
Cook
do
and all that other stuff.
Swan River has a sign, a digital sign that they've attached to a street light. Because it's across the street from Taylor School and it's a street that doesn't have any stop signs and it goes, and you come out at the arena there. And they don't have all those additional signs around it. They don't,
and you're talking about speed sign?
yeah.
So I think council's already said that we want to do this. We want to put something in there this summer. Or as soon as we can, not so. But I think this should be on your follow-up list too, Bola, because I believe we've already said that.
So we should do it for the cheap option.
Okay.
That's an alternative, that's cheap.
So he was in his original capital project, and the reason this got put into discretionary is just for the sake of saving money. But he said establishing reduced speed zones around Pasco School of Kelsey, Community School, MBCI, Scott Bayman, and Mary Duncan. So it is around all of our.
Mhm.
Yeah, I forgot about my pass or
Yeah.
MBCI.
However, they didn't supply a copy of the map. If I remember correctly, they have looked at places where they could remove signs like they're trying to keep it cut down. But I wonder if there isn't a way to get cheaper signs,
Just-
get a grant or something for it.
We approve it, we just would like to see the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to see almost the possibility of a contractor coming in to do it, like an outside contractor that does nothing but signs.
Yeah.
And they can see what kind of cost they come up with, just
Yeah.
because in the summertime, we're always so short manpower wise and they're busy on projects. I'd hate to see the project not be completed by September first when school gets going.
Okay.
Oh, I'm hoping that it gets done this spring, so that's what the ground. is
I'm not
about.
sure if maybe that 65 was including a subcontractor to do it, I'd have to.
I
double
think
check.
it just-
They didn't stipulate it.
Ordered already.
Because they're gonna be factoring the back, their manpower and everything else, right? So it might be something we're exploring.
Yeah, because it's in last year's budget.
Yeah, they were just putting in for 65,000 under equipment, they didn't stipulate anything for subcontract, so I think they were planning.
Well, we have a nice machine to do this now anyway, so. It's in the show that,
Get you.
I support that.
I support it too, but we didn't put up everything that we already have this past year. So I don't know, unless it's been damaged, and that's why we didn't put it up, but when all those new lights were purchased for down there, like there's those big bulbs that used to go in front of Town Paw.
They
Those-
don't like them, that they were trying to do something else, they were hoping to be able to do something else this year, that's why they didn't go up, because.
They're $4,000 bulb.
That big bulb we use in the-
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh
just
my
be,
God.
yeah,
I have to.
they're really expensive.
That big-
Like the three,
Yeah.
they're $4,000
Yeah.
in bulk.
Yeah, yeah, they're really expensive.
Okay, so we support that and let's put everything else that we have out so that we're not,
Okay, so we'll just have to reimagine that portion and include our. phones.
the repair of the back lane.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's gravel.
Actually, this is that tire air aggregate.
Oh, remember you want to do the test area?
Oh,
They wanted to do a test back lane with that aggregate.
Yeah,
It's
not-
like chipped up tire material that,
I think with our new equipment coming, we should go with that for first years first.
Yeah, I agree. And if we have to spend a little bit more money on gravel back in the back lanes, we should.
okay,
That's what he says in there.
so use the new equipment like the
Yeah.
skid steer and what
The
is we
skid steer
got
and
this
the-
year to see if they can do something back there.
That was their plan, right? That was the main
Oh,
reason.
yeah, it was
So I think we
TDA.
try that, and if we have trouble areas, or
Yeah.
This is pretty much what it's
says that right in here.
Like different for the.
All of it.
hybrid.
yeah,
It says we would like to see how the Harley Brick works
Okay.
this year before we explore.
Okay, weed control, I thought we were already committed to a 3-year contract.
I don't think
I think we gotta keep doing that. We've gotta get our parks and,
I think they only signed 1 year actually when they put the RFP out. I remember you guys saying we wanted it for 3 years, and when I ended up checking on it, they only wrote the RFP for 1 year. If I remember correctly,
I actually thought we were told that it was a 3-year contract.
I will double check. The flower one is definitely a
that's
3 year.
3 years.
So whatever, I think we wanna have that, unless council disagrees, and we gotta get weed control back here.
and we control when we did the downtown, road, didn't it?
Oh, it did parks.
So there's new parks as well.
Yeah. He was in, I know he's in Rotary Park twice.
Because I said I know a few parks, the grass. and
Yeah.
So maybe just herbicide everything.
Yeah. So then, I wasn't sure about public food reception, $5,000.
Mhm.
That's normally in the budget?
Yes,
We don't ever spend $5,000.
I don't know. There's a few different things that get quoted there. It's not just for when delegations come into town, so.
Okay, so what is it for them?
Sometimes, well, also, like the can apple water for the garage gets coated there. Excuse me, sorry. Losing my voice. I have to double check,
So
but
was last year's, normally the budget's $5,000?
I would have to double check that.
Because like if it's just hospitality, I was gonna say, well, we can reduce that, but if it's a bunch of other stuff. We can't really comment on it.
I think they increased it originally in order to accommodate more hospitality type things. And now they're trying to pull that portion of that increase out. Not the whole thing. They can't pull the whole thing out. We don't want
Okay, well, I mean, we need to be able to host our visitors and stuff, and if we have bottled water somewhere, we'll have to do that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with leaving that. What is that, advertisement, tourism, promotion?
Alright, I was opening the budget to see about that. So it was about $1,500 we spent last year in public. public receptions food, the budget was $3,000.
Okay,
They were
why
originally increasing it up to 5. And
don't we make it 2 then?
2,
Yeah, would
okay.
it make sense?
Tourism advertising and promotion. I think a portion of this is also an expense that we give to the CDC for there's some sort of pamphlets or something that we've committed to over the last 5 years. Can't remember exactly.
Isn't that place branding $5,000 or $10,000?
Is it?
Yeah, that's 10 each.
I think it's 10,000.
That must be coincidental. We haven't spent a lot of money out of there in the last few years, so.
Which as I was gonna ask is where does place branding land in this?
I have to double check. It might just be in the grant that we give to the CDC, the overall grant that we give to the CDC, or it's in our main
Oh, you know
advertising
what?
account.
No, I don't think it is, but I know the CDC has cut their budget to get to you too, so
Has that been approved by council?
it hasn't come to you guys. No, it hasn't come to council yet. Yeah, so are we okay with that?
There's not a lot of money that's been
Yes.
put to this account over the last couple of years, looking at it.
So we reduce it to $1,000 maybe? Or leave it as it is? Or get rid of it?
Still not even clear
I don't know what it is.
I don't either, but I don't wanna eliminate it just because I don't know what it is.
Leave it there, we'll just find out what it is.
So just leave it at 13. Get more information.
Yeah. We
Yeah, I
get
can
more,
look into
just
it.
because
Just add it in a magazine.
I can look and see what's
Yeah.
been quoted there in the past. I don't know off the top of my head.
tourism attitude is covered by place branding. Yeah,
Yeah. I'd have to look again where that's quoted.
alright, so we'll get more info on that, cemetery runners. Well, didn't we just do a bunch?
We did.
Do we need to do them again in 2025?
So when this was originally brought up to council, I personally was under the impression this was something that had to be completed before we sold the lot. And I don't know what council's impression was, but that was what I got the impression of at last year's budget meeting when we had all this brought forward. I now found out that this was just simply a beautification thing that they brought into place. It's not required to sell the cemetery lot. I do not know how this ever got approved. Or who approved it to start doing these cemetery runners, if I'm being honest with you.
I do agree with the beautification of our cemetery, I'm just not sure if we need runners.
I don't know who made the decision as to whether or not we needed runners.
If we're just doing it to beautify the cemetery, there probably should be a plan to beautify the cemetery.
Yeah,
Not just
exactly.
Piecemeal.
So you want a plan presented to council?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm not gonna approve this if it's just a piecemeal project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I understand.
Yeah, so we support doing something out there, but we just like to see the plan.
Carrie?
Yeah. Need to have some kind of description that's following everything.
Yeah.
And if we don't need it, then we don't need it, right?
I'm gonna follow the note here that says basically expanding the cemetery sections and being aesthetic. I agree, if we're gonna be putting money into the cemetery and making it as inviting as possible, we need to have consistency, and
Yeah.
I like the idea of the runners.
But I think I think that we just actually put those new runners in last year along the side, and that's what I'm saying, I don't know if we need, I agree to spend some money there, but I don't know if I wanna spend money on runners. If it's,
If they're not needed.
if they're not needed, I agree spending some money in there, fixing the road and the weeds and doing all the other things. But we should get a plan on that.
Then the $20,000 should just be earmarked as
Be those
cemetery beautification.
or maintenance.
Yeah,
But how-
and if they come and say we need a runner because 20 people die next year, then I think they have that money to draw from.
Okay.
But again, that's where the lead hand would help.
Anything, Margaret or Councillor Commodore Forster? No,
No, just more information on what the future was.
I would like to see it, like a visual.
we'll get more information on that.
There's nothing in here that they have put for the add-on to, I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, Colorado.
Yeah, I don't see that in here. Am I missing it somewhere?
That was not brought forth
Well, I don't
in the
think we-
capital plans or in the operational. That would be a capital item. I haven't seen anything. Do we need a new one?
No, but each year a certain amount of money was set aside for it.
Oh, that just goes
Yeah.
into the reserve account. That's an automatic allocation.
But it used to appear in here for us to see how much was going.
To reserve.
That probably appears on page 13 of the
Page
financial
13?
plan. That would
That-
have nothing
okay.
to do with these discretionary expenditure reports. These are new.
I just don't remember, I didn't remember seeing it at all and cemetery triggered me. Okay.
Double check to make
Remember
sure.
everything either.
I'll double check to make sure it's there.
So increase our utility, is that what that's asking? Or some for our,
Yeah,
Reserves?
that's reserve allocation. They went from 400,000 to 500,000 and anticipation that pretty soon we're gonna need to do something with our water treatment plant. Whether it's a rehab or an extension. So
then we should see how it shakes out anyways.
I know as of right now, like the utility side does not affect the mill rate, but as of right now, the budget is in a deficit position for utility reserve. Or for utility, pardon me, not the reserve.
Have a lot,
Pardon?
have a lot,
Sorry, I can't hear you.
a high number, low number. for
Yeah, it
deficit.
was about 300,000 for the deficit. But that could change if we get relief from water stewardship board on our water rate increase.
What is the time? I was thinking about that today.
The last time I checked with them, which was about a month ago, I was told we were fourth in line for being reviewed.
Oh, okay.
And how long the review takes, I couldn't even tell you. So I can't really give you a formal ETA on that. They couldn't give me what they just said. All I can tell you is you're fourth in line.
Okay.
Sure.
Wait, snowing blades, I'm assuming. I don't even know what that, or what equipment or loader or why, or says they don't really know what they need themselves.
Yeah,
So we should just hold that off or
Maybe what we're
just go into reserve anyways.
it's going to reserve anyway, so if they
Yeah.
end up coming up with something during the year, then they can always come to council at any time and have it come from reserve.
So it's just a reserve allocation
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Maintenance mechanic service truck. Was that in our capital fund?
it was
We discussed it.
Yeah, so we're, and that's a reserve thing, right?
correct.
So we're good with that.
Good
The,
with leaving it in or leaving it out?
leaving it in.
Okay.
Because we already agreed to that, right?
It was a lengthy discussion. I don't know if we agreed, but we.
All of the capital was agreed to, like, as far as getting RFPs out there and then being able to come back to council and provide everything that was needed to get it approved to purchase. But it wasn't formally approved to purchase.
I think we're approving it right now.
Okay.
Overlay of, Bagshaw. So how much money is in a reserve to do, if that's the area we're gonna do? How much money is available and what comes to general taxation?
Well, general taxation wouldn't be affected by the $1 million. We've got 1.8 million dollars in infrastructure, and we've also got $746,000 available in our gas tax in order to cover any more road work that we do. Their concern with this one is that they're not 100% sure if this is what should happen on Reader and Bagshaw.
Yeah.
They would like a better assessment done and even some test holes drilled
Yeah, I
because
agree.
there's some issues there with it just being a very sandy, silty area
Yeah.
that even causes them a lot of problems when they're doing digs.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not sold on that too, that would be enough to fix that problem.
Agreed, yeah.
But I do believe we need to invest some money so we know what we need to fix. I do agree that the wellness center parking lot, we need to finish that project off. Because we have we're finishing paying for a 20,000 or 20-year project that we still have a gravel entranceway and so, you know, it should be one of the prides that we have. So I guess what we could look for is if we could just we agree with the money, we agree to do something. If we could just get a sort of a discussion point on what we plan on doing and where we're gonna pave and because we support that, maybe those areas aren't.
Yeah, maybe
Or
those
enough
areas
money.
aren't appropriate for this year, but does council agree that an assessment should be?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yes.
Okay, so do you want some of that $1 million used towards, and again, there is more in the reserves to be able to use towards an assessment of that area and how exactly to tackle it?
I think so. I think that maybe if we have to come up with more money, we will.
Okay.
But what does the $1 million give us?
Like, not a lot, like that was just to do a shape and pave in these areas, which again, probably isn't appropriate because in some of the areas, there's barely any material there
Oh, I
to do a shape and pave with.
Not in that area, actually.
So you want them to present you with a better area or like their next area that they were looking at doing?
If it
Or-
was my money, what I would say is that I would like a priority list on what I need to do.
Okay.
But before I would like to do that area, that would be one of my priorities, but I don't believe I have enough money in that budget to do that. So I would find out what I actually need, do a study on that, so I know that is that a $3 million and how I can divide it up. And I also believe that there's other areas in our town that could need some tender loving care as well, which includes the wellness center parking lot.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So I think we agree that we have to do something there, but we don't want to put $1 million into some place and then you're back there 2 years from now with all gravel again.
Yeah, 100%.
I think, like, I think when we had the discussion, I don't know when that was, several months ago now, that was some of the comments that were made is that a shave and pave is not what's needed. It's, from what I understand, it's been filled with sand and everything else. It's not, if you shave and pave it, you're actually making it worse because you're wasting the money and then you're setting back how much longer it will be before that gets fixed. So I agree with that. I think also, if I recall correctly, the point I had made at that time was last year we spent 1.5 million, I believe, on road repairs in the community. I would like to see us still stick to that number at least.
We budgeted 1.5, I think we only spent 1.2 or 1.1.
I think we have about 300.
Yeah, it was about 1.2 or so, yeah.
But I agree, like,
Like, I don't want to see us starting to dial it back. So when you dial it back, you're not going to get it back.
Yeah.
I'd rather see us getting 1.5 or whatever every year until we catch up.
Yeah, we just have to come up with an area. that's
What the plan
appropriate.
is.
Yeah, yeah, so we'll have them revisit their plan and come back to council with what they think is the next best area in line.
And the wellness center parking lot, does that stop at the entrance or does that continue a little ways to get to the skate park?
I have no
Because that's
idea.
a mud ball
I-
too.
Yeah, well, I think that goes under parks, just to clean that whole area up. I think the wellness center parking lot is the parking lot area and connecting the road to the back to the arena.
Right, but I don't know if it stops where everyone parks or if it's going to go up to where you actually walk to get into the wellness center in the back, like if it
Yeah,
would
it's
extend.
that whole area,
It's just a big rectangle.
yeah. It's that whole area, so yeah, like, so the wellness center entrance is here, you would come around and go in this way. The parking lot is like here where the outdoor rink is,
Yeah,
and then the arena's here.
Big rectangle.
right, but like you walk in, you have to walk over that
That's,
partition to get to here, so
no,
that's what I was
that's
wondering if it's
exactly,
extending.
that's all this whole area.
And
So
that's
if
the
you-
issue there.
To go around this area, that's a different, that's not paving,
Okay.
that's parks and recreation,
You go to the actual,
yeah,
bridge and everything else, it's meant for water flow
yeah.
and I know they can
Yeah, I'm
fundraising
not talking
too.
about that area,
No, I know what you're saying, but
Yeah,
it's
I'm not
the,
talking about by the bridge.
There's 2 bridges in the back,
Yeah.
but anyway, that's the area.
Okay.
so I think we're good for, I think council is good, we would like to see us spend some money on paving.
Yeah.
1 million, even if it gets to 1.5 is the plan,
Okay,
and we wanna know what the long term, what the cost is to actually fix that areas that are identified today
Okay.
without spending bad money.
Okay.
Construction fences, if these are tools that the guys need, I would say get them. If there's some savings that we're using to rent, I would like to know, we should make sure it's included in our budget.
Okay.
If we're renting fences today, it's probably a good thing. We'll be needing fences forever and a day anyways.
Are these fences for like the digs that go?
Yeah, you can put around construction sites and,
Yeah.
you know.
No, like the fences that we had around the Lyle Theater for a really long
Yeah.
time. Yeah, like
I
that.
know it's over by the.
Yeah,
So they're not just for the digs, they're for.
they're for anything
Everything.
we need to use around town, yeah.
Scissor lifts,
I know that one's for-
the scissor lift stuff, I support this. I think that, but I also know that I think we have been asked what the savings would be annually if we had our own.
We'd also asked to compare between a Zoom boom or man lift
Yeah.
compared to a scissor
Yeah.
lift, just because of the limited capability.
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't realize that. was-
Yeah, there's gonna be a comparison, just because a scissor lift is straight up and down, whereas a Zoom boom or man lift is gonna give them more opportunity to use.
Okay.
So. we're
I
gonna
know that they're talking a lot about like in the wellness center and in the arenas, they got no ways of changing lights.
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever tools they would, but give us some options, so I think we're supportive of that.
Just provide some options and.
Yeah.
some comparative-
Just wanna know what you're
Okay.
doing.
Okay.
That's reserves anyways.
Yeah.
Not anyways, it's still money. The arena cell booster, community enhancement maybe reserve.
Yeah, this was coming out of the arena reserve, but yeah, we can definitely have it come out of the community enhancement. If this
The
is.
thing is,
something
we
you guys
do
want
have
to
the
continue.
boosters in there. But they're back in there, the original boosters, so I think we need to update them. Everybody okay with that? I think it seems high to me.
It is really high for what you're getting, especially when the cell phones do still work. It's not like once you go in, they don't work. I used to sit in my office all the time, and use my phone.
Well, you know why? Because you guys are on that side, there's actually, you're either on Wi-Fi, or the door.
Yeah.
Where I sit, like when I do the clock, there's nothing, I can't even send a message.
You're supposed to watch on game.
I am watching, I'm just saying, in between periods, I wanna do something else.
That's my big thing is
Yeah.
there's, you go to a hockey, you might get, and all the parents are like this on their phones instead of watching the game, and that's why I'm against it. I want to see them
Watch the game.
watch the game and pay attention, be there for what you're there for.
Currently, the cell boosters that are there are for residential use cell boosters were the ones that we're looking at. This is the purchase of 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken, and they're commercial. And which is why they're quite a bit more expensive. The boost on them is really high in comparison to residential, and they support the use of multiple phones being on them at the same time, where residential is like.
I thought that Kent told me that they were not even, they are obsolete, because
They are.
they don't work with our.
They don't
with our
work, yeah, they
phones
work
today.
with
They're
2G.
programmable.
Like if you were to actually switch your phone to 2G, then you get amazing service. But they don't actually support like the 4 or 5G service anymore, but they're also residential. They're not even commercial use boosters.
So I'm curious to know what the cost would be, since everybody can use, as you mentioned, Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
If we were to put good Wi-Fi in the lobby, what would that cost look like in comparison to $15,000 for a cell booster that?
Except for the cost of the switch.
I think there's the issue with having open Wi-Fi, this might have something, well, no, it shouldn't be, because everybody.
You can use the curling ring, like
You
you go into the lobby, you can use the curling rings if you know the password.
That's a good option, maybe.
Yeah, we can just do a guest Wi-Fi, and actually I had it set up by IT a few months back, I can't remember how, because they were originally operating on our like open end Wi-Fi, which is not a good thing to, you should always have a guest network, so I had it separated so that our operations aren't being bogged down by the people that are in the arena. And there's a guest Wi-Fi set up now so that it's open-ended.
Yeah,
You're just saying, well, maybe we need both, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, we want visitors to come to town.
Yeah.
We won't be able to not have to chase Wi-Fi, so. Anyways, let's get, I think we support it. Maybe there's a different way of doing it.
Can I assume that there's a benefit to events like the trade show with this?
I would
Trade show
assume
usually-
so.
Trade show will, Randy would find out this year too, but I think they borrow the actual Wi-Fi from minor hockey.
Hockey is what they did. Yeah.
So, yeah, it would, Wi-Fi would be, public Wi-Fi would be good in there, and
Yeah.
also I believe, but I do believe shouldn't have visitors trying to figure out how to connect to a Wi-Fi network to get.
It's just
So
that
it's
So it's a matter
open-ended
of-
guest
yeah,
network.
Sometimes
It's,
they want your email,
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, it's not complicated.
well, I know it's not complicated, but I'm just, I don't walk into the arena in Thompson and have to look for their Wi-Fi to be able to connect to call somebody. Okay, and then the last thing, use rotary motor mower, I think we already said that we were gonna do that, didn't we?
Again, they're just putting it in here as an option to remove if you want to look at.
Well,
discretionary.
then, if we already approved it once, they convinced us they needed it. So. No, I support that.
Pretty big role.
It is,
Yeah.
they're
That's the
expensive
cheap
to
one.
use one,
This is
That's the
a,
cheap one.
and it's used. Okay, so we're good with that? I know we got, I don't wanna keep Lauren too late, we got 7 minutes. And we only got a couple more left.
we might be able to apply for it.
Yeah, so when it comes to the wellness KRC, like. So if we said, no, we don't want to do any day camp wages, we would. That's not really discretionary, is it?
Well, in theory, it really is. It's just a matter of whether or not this is an option that council wants to go with, and that's why he's presenting it. My fear is that even though we're competing with UCN's Into the Wild and we're more expensive than Into the Wild, I think what we're experiencing is we're getting the overflow of people that couldn't get into there. So it could end up being a burden on, pardon me, sorry, I'm sick, so my throat. Voice doesn't always work. But I think what we're gonna end up seeing is some parents not being able to find childcare during the summer if we don't do this. But it is technically an option and it would save us
Yeah.
money. I mean, really, any programming through there is kind
Part of
of
recreation,
discretionary.
healthy community, so,
Okay, so
I-
keep it going,
yeah, I think
okay,
so.
that's fine.
Outdoor rec material, I support that. Green team wages, again, I don't know why we would.
Because this is for the increased green team ranges, so
Oh,
originally, we get a certain amount of people. He was looking at increasing the amount of green team, and again, green team is not 100% covered, it's like 25% covered, so we wanted 5 additional people on the green team, this would be the cost of those 5 additional people.
Seems like a lot, probably get some more details on what he would do with all those people.
One of the things is keeping up on the mowing in the parks and all the cleanup, but also getting them doing some graffiti cleanup around town and things like that.
I'm all for it as long as somebody's managing to make
Yeah.
sure they're accomplishing.
Working.
Yeah.
I'm for it too.
Okay,
So you still want to plan route 4 for them?
Yep.
Okay,
parks or flowers,
this is something that we do have an agreement with. I
Yeah.
mean, technically, there's probably a way out of it, but,
no,
okay,
I think they did a great job last year. Hedge trimmers. We need the tools.
Okay.
Arena tools, same thing for me. And reserves, or the last one, we renovate the lobby, that comes out of the reserve, right? They fix the lobby up and stuff like that, no?
Or the second last one, right?
Sorry, the
no,
tools.
he was having this come out of operations, he was wanting to do,
That's true.
yeah, he was wanting to do some stuff in the restrooms, but this was, he didn't have this coming out of reserve. There's not a lot of money in the arena reserve, if I'm being honest with you.
But I think we have to fix up our washrooms and that.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's, they're pretty,
It's not total renovation, though, like.
it's sad.
Yeah, it's just a refresh, yeah,
no, that's what I mean, yes.
okay, so leave it in there,
Washington make a big statement.
okay?
And,
Washington actually make a big statement.
oh, they're in,
Yeah, they
they
do.
need some tender love and care, that's for sure.
So this one is new, the last one on there. It was never presented in the original budget. It was an app that actually was, we were provided with by one of our other employees who used it in another job. And
What is that?
this very last one, it's called Maintenance
Oh,
App.
I don't, I'm using my other notes, I don't.
And it's $3,000 a year for the 5 maintenance people that we have. But what it does is it provides them with work orders, so he can give them work orders and direction all through this app, prioritize them. Pictures can be attached to either what it looks like now or what it looks like after, things like that. He's been using the free version and he finds it very, very useful, but the expanded version that he's looking for, which is a paid option, would give him just some more features that he feels would be good, especially the picture album portion of it, because you're limited on the free version.
So is that 3,000 a year?
Yes,
Could trial it for 1 year at 3,000 and see what we like.
sure.
They don't not locked into a long-term contract.
Nope, you can always go back to the free version if they don't like it. But he's finding it to be very useful for providing his maintenance staff with good clear direction right now. And they all seem to like it, is what he said.
I'm okay with it. I would like to get a report on how it actually went.
So
Okay.
because we've had this discussion before, when I've talked about QR codes and everything else,
Yeah,
the discussion was, well, now you're expected to use their device. Right? That was the argument of why we haven't moved that way. My question is, are we back into that argument that if,
currently the maintenance staff either already have paid for 10 of the PAW phones, or we are giving them the $35 stipend a month for their phones. So it's not even, they haven't even argued the point. They're all getting either the stipend or have paid for.
and that's the way most
Yep.
employees should be.
100%, yep, so they're already getting it. This is just an additional thing.
Good. And the museum. So is that hiring another person?
Currently that person is employed there, but they're employed there under a grant, and he wants to make them a permanent third employee full-time.
And what would we do with the grants thing?
The grant would no longer, it was only a 1-year grant available. This was a term position originally, and he wants to make it a permanent full-time position. Museum.
Are we gonna pass some of those costs on to the other funders of the museum?
I don't know what his plan was, if I'm being honest with you. I think he's gone to Kelsey School Division to ask for additional grant money, but I can't say 100%.
So we would have 3 people there?
Yes, and in the past, I know that all the programming have been done by the museum director and curator in the past.
So he's gotten rid of all the weekend hosts there, has he?
I wouldn't say all of them, it's just been reduced. They've changed their hours and they've. Actually, I think he's working Saturdays now.
Yeah.
Oh, so they might have gotten rid of all weekend hosts then, yeah. Originally, it was just supposed to be a reduction and then they recently changed their hours, so.
You said he's working Tuesday to Saturday now instead?
Yeah,
Oh,
Would you want more additional information?
Well, if we got a position covered by a grant, I just don't know why.
it's not gonna be covered by a grant anymore.
not anymore.
It's currently being covered by a grant only for 1 year. It will not be covered by a grant if it is added into our budget full-time. As permanent staff member, it was 1 year. Only.
I don't want to lose the position. If we get a little bit more information from me anyways,
Okay,
unless you guys are good with it.
The one question I have here, the last sentence says also leads to reduction in fundraising and rental revenue from less promotion. So does he have a number on how much revenue this position would bring in to offset the cost?
Yeah,
I would have to ask him directly, but when I looked at his budget numbers, I didn't see any big changes, so
Was that in that pamphlet he gave us?
No.
I don't think.
yeah, so I think there's kind of support there.
It's just gonna be a matter of getting more information.
Yeah.
Okay,
Curator, that's his right-hand person.
Yes, that's the
Uh-huh.
person that's always been there, and currently he's finding it challenging to hire somebody that's competent at the
Salary,
wage that we have, so his request is putting it up by $2 an hour.
I support that.
This possible, cost of goods sold reduction, part of this is there was a anomaly in the fluctuations of the percentage last year, so it was originally overstated in the budget. But he's also talking about there's some reduction in, there could be some reduction in the exhibits while it's being sold, so a lot of that stuff is there on consignment.
Mhm.
Okay,
And then his capital projects, so he did have a couple of capital projects, originally there was $17,000 in the capital budget for this, but 85,000 would be covered by general operations, the other 85 is being covered by donations. So this was for the freezer and yeah, and then I think it was in the board table, boardroom table or something like that.
I support that.
Is the board up? Okay. Everyone voting your hands?
I'm just gonna go back to this. That's it. So you have all the actions, I'm assuming, go on.
Yeah. And if there's no further questions, I would like to request that we move in camera just for short duration,
Yeah,
5 minutes.
yeah, can I, so just before we get into that spot, is it possible, when will we have a kind of a general idea of the discussions today? Where the mill rates now got to?
After I make the changes to what you want me to put back in, it can be there for next budget meeting.
Okay, it'll be a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect, so we need a motion to, so thank you to all of our people that are watching online, and appreciate your interest in our community and our budget. If you have any questions with regards to any of this stuff, always feel free to reach out to one of your counselors, and they can update you where you may need. With that, good night. There will be no actions coming out of our in-camera discussion. So we will call it a night.
Motion to move into the in-camera portion of the March 3rd meeting with Mayor Murphy and the chair, requiring matters